Hey guys, this is Matt for Creative. I just got back from seeing Barbie at AMC Theaters 25 in Times Square. It is Wednesday. I'm going to see if I can actually get this out here today rather than tomorrow, because this is one of the more advanced screenings. I lucked my way into the very last seat into one of their party showings, so everybody there was a giant fan. I am not the biggest Barbie fan. I know they exist. I know they are dolls. I know that people love them, and they have a deep history with a lot of people. Not me. I went because of the kind of cross-promoting that has been done with Barbie and Oppenheimer. And I know this has nothing to do with the movie, but big Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan fan. And I was like, I've seen a lot of this, and I've seen a lot of good press of this movie. This Barbie movie was great. It was a very brightly colored, positive, and especially the people in the theater, they had a good time. The jokes, they landed. The commentary was relevant. It felt like a good movie. Now with this, there will maybe be spoilers, but this is the kind of movie where if you saw any of the trailers beforehand, you kind of know exactly what this movie is going to be. You can most likely think what the end of the movie will be, more or less. And it's not that ruins anything of it. It kind of just makes this a very fun movie, where there are a lot of deeper issues with feminism, with inclusion, with I can't talk right now. Patriarchy, with everything that. Everything is so peppered, so done really, really well that I think that you can enjoy this movie, you can enjoy the message, and you can feel when things are just kind of relevant to you as a person, to me as a person, even as a man. I liked and enjoyed the movie, and I really felt the message too. But yeah. Let's go through the movie. It begins exactly like you would probably think with the ads. And it is Barbie living her Barbie life. Everything is as it should be in Barbie land, meaning everybody waves to each other, all the Barbies, all the Kens, and Alan. Everybody is just kind of there, they're positive. No real, thought goes behind what happens throughout each and every day, because pretty much every single day is the same. For me, as a real person in the real world, that honestly sounds just like hell, where nothing changes, you have no thought in your mind, and just kind of keeps on going. And I think that's kind of how I, as just a person on the outside, view, Barbie as a brand. And I guess I did kind of get educated on the brand itself throughout the movie, but I keep on thinking it's going to be the same thing. It's just going to be Barbie, the variations of Barbie and Ken, and how they kind of speak to the person, whoever gets, Dr. Barbie or Beach Ken or whatever you want to do. It's just kind of the same. But I totally forgot about how with my dolls and action figures growing up, I was a real big Star Wars fan, so I like Star Wars action figures. I even still get them, just because they're collector's items now. But I remember that it was not the same thing every day. It was allowing me to have the creativity to take what is kind of fundamentally a baseline character, just as Barbie's a baseline character, just as my action figures had the baseline, but then you could expand on it. You could make it what you want. So for instance, again, if you had Dr. Barbie, it could be a Dr. Barbie, but could have then whatever underlying issues you're dealing with or whatever positivity you want to put inside this. You can make that baseline into something real and relevant to you. And I know this is a tangent from the movie, but it really reminded me that, playing pretend, using your creativity, something that I still do, is really, really great just for you as a person. And it's really allowed me to appreciate the brand of Barbie. Not me ever getting these, which I never did growing up, but just the possibility for everybody who had it. I can now see the allure of what it was for people who have been having these throughout their entire lifetimes, because they were created I can't remember the date at all, but a very long time ago. So this is kind of ingrained. But okay, going back to the movie, you know, everything kind of is like the same thing every day until Margot Robbie, which they call stereotypical Barbie, because that's when you think of a Barbie, that's kind of like the baseline, and you can go again with the other variations off that. She starts thinking literally about, she's like, does anybody else think of death? And the party that she's in, everything screeches to a halt. Everybody's like, what is going on here? And then she kind of covers it up and just keeps on going. Then again, also kind of spoiled in the ads, you know, like she has her high heels, she steps out of the heels. They are supposed to keep that kind of like this pointiness, but all of a sudden it goes down to a flat foot, and then that kind of like shows her something's off. So she goes to, I guess, this sage kind of Barbie, which they call Weird Barbie. And she's like, this is because whoever's playing with you in the real world is offloading some of that grief, whatever they're going through, whatever anguish they're going through, is now affecting Barbie. Now, this is one of the things where there may be a loophole, and this is perfectly fine. Everybody who plays with Barbie is not having an extreme positive experience. Remember, they're bringing in from them into the experience of like the imaginary and the play pretend. So I would imagine more than just our stereotypical Margot Robbie Barbie is having this, but it's just kind of key to kind of like streamline the story that there is one Barbie having this issue. So she goes into the real world because she has to go and find who this person is who's been playing with her and figure it out. And they say many times, don't overthink it. Just go in there to do what you need to correct things, and they keep it as vague terms as possible. And I like that because you can kind of like put your own imagination into it, because remember, when you have action figures or dolls or anything, it's what you bring in. And I keep on having to remind myself that, and remind you guys too. So of course Ken, played by well, I'm really not good at this. You know who Ken is, La La Land, Blade Runner 2049. Wow, I'm really bad at this right now. But he goes with her, and she is looking for the person who's playing with her. She thinks it's a girl. She has like this kind of like moment where she sees a mother and a daughter and playing with that Barbie throughout their life as this person ages up. But then it's kind of like she realizes that it really wasn't the daughter's anguish and like story that's going in, it was the mother that was kind of playing with the daughter, sharing these positive messages. So it really is not about the daughter, it's about the mother, who has been, of course, dealing with real world issues that women have to face, that men have to face as well. And this is kind of like tying into, you know, why our main Barbie is having these issues of dread, because it's being passed along by the mother, has been really playing with it and drawing off it and just doing a lot of design-based things, because she actually works for, the mother works for Mattel. So as Barbie's doing this and finding out what she needs to do, Ken is off on his own because Barbie's just like, do your own thing, please stop bothering me, because he kind of came as an afterthought. And literally, he finds the patriarchy of the real world. And because he's been so suppressed in his Barbie land, because Barbie is literally everything and Ken is there, he's like, this is amazing to him, and he brings it back to Barbie land. He brings it from the real world to Barbie land, where then Ken is in charge, he's doing everything, he's taking over the entire thing, while our Barbie is trying to figure things out in the real world. So down the line, it gets to the point where Mattel is trying to recapture Barbie, literally put her in a box, and she runs away. She runs with the mother, who she then meets, and the daughter, and they go into Barbie land, they go back into Barbie land and realize what Ken has done. I guess long story short, they outthink Ken. They make Ken remember that he is valued as his own person, but to not, you know, make this really terrible patriarchy a part of Barbie land, as patriarchy has kind of become this, you know, where men are above women. I'm a man, I'm always going to be myself personally first, but I've never been one to limit somebody else. I even had like a conversation, a fight online with people where it's just like, there's no way. I'm not about that. I'm about my progression and the other people around. So I kind of get that. But they make him feel valued. They make him understand that, you know, at least in this world, Barbie Land, Barbie is going to be in control, but that doesn't mean that Ken is not a relevant person in his own right. And that means our main Ken and the other variations of Ken, and then also Alan, the one Alan. But as far as it is, maybe this is something I forgot. So Will Ferrell, the CEO of Mattel, goes in following Barbie back into Barbie Land as she goes back in. But along the way, as Barbie is trying to run out of the Mattel Corporation, as she's trying to be captured, she meets, and this is a kind of really a heartfelt moment of the creator of Barbie, Ruth, which I actually, and I don't know how I know this information, it's, you know, she created this. She basically created Mattel. She had some issues in her life, but she is the creator of Barbie. So her kind of figment, or I guess her ghost, because she's now passed away, also ends up at the very end, because like the end of the movie, Barbie succeeds in returning Barbie Land to Barbie Land. Ken is kind of happy in his own right, but then she's like, what is the ending to my story? And of course, Will Ferrell, having followed it in, is like, oh, Barbie loves Ken, that's the answer. And she's like, no, I don't want that. What is my ending? So Ruth literally just takes her by the hand and says, a person has an ending, but the idea, it never has to end, it never has an ending, and that is everlasting. Barbie as like an idea, it's everlasting. And I keep on thinking of myself because I'm a creative. I have so many ideas. I know that one day I'm not going to be here anymore because as a human, of course, I have an end. But to kind of birth an idea, that will kind of live on forever. And Barbie talks to Ruth and says, can I be human? It kind of, that caught me off guard a little bit, like it came out of left field for me. And Ruth says, of course. And Barbie goes back and says, but you're my creator. Don't you kind of like tell my story? Don't you tell me what to do? And this is just one of those things where I've kind of come to the realization where you can come up with an idea, you can come up with something that will last longer than you, but that doesn't mean that your control will be everlasting. It becomes what people want it to be, the people who interact with that idea. And if Barbie is an idea, it is a product, so, you know, it's being sold to people. But if it is an idea, people can make it what they want. So as our stereotypical main character Barbie wants to go and really live in the human world, that's her option to do. The creator of Barbie created it, just as, you know, we may have been created ourselves, but we're allowed to do what we need to do outside of that first point of creation. So I think it ends in a really nice way. Barbie goes to the real world and just starts picking up, you know, and living a real life in the real world. And I think this whole movie's really funny. The message is great. Be who you want to be. I really think that forever, I would always say, be who you want to be. Don't let people restrict what you really want to be. And that goes for everybody. The people, I guess, who are in power, because everybody's going to be wanting power. I know this is a tangent off the movie, but people who don't have power, fight for the power if you want it as well, or fight for whatever you want, enjoy your life, be who you want to be. I think that we are in a really great time where people are really more allowed to do what they want with their personal lives. I know that there's a lot of restrictions still being on, and yeah, I know that there has been a lot pulled back, at least legally in the United States. But more or less, if you have your group, I live in New York City, a very progressive city. If you have your group, you can still be allowed to be who you want to be within that group. Maybe outside of that group, it's going to be harder to do so. And definitely in other states, I know that that's a big thing where it's really hard to be where you want. But I feel like you know, in certain areas, it is getting better, but it's something that needs to be everywhere. And I hope that, you know, some big media project like this, the more people see it, the more people who are influenced by this, and if you're a child being influenced by this, down the line, you can actually make changes if you are kind of hit with enough of these messages where you're allowed to do what you want. There's so many more issues out in the world, but at least this is one of the ones where, as a person, you can do more of what you want. Legally, it's tough, but again, you can fight for what you want. Anyway, guys, I know that was a really big tangent. I would say see Barbie. It is fun. It's just a nice summer movie, and I'm really happy when I'm allowed to go to these like advanced screenings, just because the people who are usually there are really into the movie, and there's big cheers, big laughs, and that's why I go to the movies so much. I like watching movies at home too, but it's just seeing big spectacle movies that people, and even indie movies that people just appreciate. It's lovely, lovely to go there. All right, guys, if you have any comments or questions, put in the comments section below. Don't forget, I'm on Instagram and Threads at M8B9. You can email me at creativenyc2023@gmail.com. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.